Welcome back to the AreYouAnnie podcast for women who have walked through fire and come out stronger. I'm Kyle Hackley, attorney, mother, grandmother, and author of Undercurrent. For those who are joining me for the first time, I'd like you to know that I'm not a healthcare professional. I'm simply a woman who is passionate about bringing awareness to narcissistic abuse with the goal of inspiring and validating women who have fallen victim to a narcissist. And most importantly, to let those women know that they are not alone in their journeys. Also, for my first timers, please know that Annie is a collective symbol representing women who have endured, are enduring, or who have survived emotional abuse. By invoking Annie, I seek to validate all the women who see themselves in Annie Black's story as portrayed in the novel Undercurrent. Today, we're diving into something every victim or survivor of narcissistic abuse knows all too well: narcissistic rage. What does it look like? And most importantly, what does it mean for the person who's caught in its path? If you've ever been in a relationship with a narcissist, or you know of somebody who has, you've likely seen this firsthand. Narcissist has the ability to turn from charming and composed to explosive and terrifying in an instant. But what actually triggers a narcissist into a rage usually is one of three things. There is a threat to their control when they feel like they're losing their grip on their victim, a wound to their ego when their self-image is questioned or they feel criticized, and third, any shift in attention away from them when someone or something else becomes more important than they are. Narcissistic rage isn't just anger, it's uncontrolled fury, and it's designed to intimidate, punish, and regain dominance over their victim. If you've ever witnessed a narcissist in full-blown rage, you know it's terrifying. First, you see that shift physically and emotionally, even in their voice. Their eyes actually get darker and their jaw clenches. Their tone becomes sharp and cold. Some, at least, the rages I've witnessed anyway, they explode in screaming, breaking things, making threats. Now, some narcissistic rages look a bit different, completely different, actually. The narcissist becomes eerily quiet, weaponizing their silence to make the victim feel frightened and small. But either way, the goal is the same: to make the victim submit. In Undercurrent, we see Annie's husband, Santino, rage in one of the most dangerous forms. When he's behind the wheel of a car, he turns reckless, impulsive, and destructive just in an instant. There's a scene where Santino is fuming. His ego is abused, and instead of turning to his wife and trying to talk it through or even argue with her, he takes off on a dirt road in his car. Annie is in the passenger seat, trapped, powerless, while he drives faster and faster, his hands gripping the wheel in a white-knuckle rage. And then it happens. A deer appears on the road, but instead of slowing down, his anger overrides all reason. He crashes into the deer, the impact jolting Annie's body forward, shattering glass, the sound of metal twisting around them. And in that moment, Annie realizes, finally, that this was never about Santino being angry with her. This was about power and Santino's need to be in total control of Annie at all times. For Annie, this moment changed everything for her. Until then, she had done what so many women in abusive situations do. She blamed herself. She told herself that if she could just be better, less difficult, then maybe her husband wouldn't get so angry. Maybe he wouldn't explode. Maybe she was capable of fixing the marriage and his temper. But as Annie sat there in the car trembling in the wreckage, she saw the truth. She was never the problem. It was him, his need for control, his addiction to dominance, his complete disregard for her life. In that moment, she knew if she stayed, she would never survive. That's when the fear of leaving became smaller than the fear of staying. A narcissist's rage leaves scars, but not just physical ones, emotional ones that linger long after the moment has passed. Victims learn to walk on eggshells to anticipate the storm before it hits, to shrink themselves in the hope of avoiding another explosion. But here's the truth. Nothing you do ever stops the narcissistic rage, because it's not about you. It's about him. If you've been in this situation, know this. You're not alone. The fear, the self-doubt, the exhaustion from constantly managing someone else's emotions, it's all real. And just like Annie, you can find your way out. You can reclaim your peace, your power, and your life. But make no mistake about it, Annie's decision to leave was a good one, but it didn't put an end to the control that Santino was determined to exert over her. Even as Annie and her daughter take up residence in their own small apartment and start their lives all over again, Annie's battle in some ways was just beginning, because while she had escaped the physical cage that Santino had her in, the psychological grip would prove to be even harder to break away from. Annie's story is inspirational because it's one of triumph. And for every woman who has walked away from an abuser, they know this truth. The decision to leave is never easy, and the abuser's grip doesn't immediately end with physical separation. And in many cases, it can be dangerous. But here's what I want you to hold on to. Freedom is possible. Healing is possible. Rebuilding is possible. And it starts with that first courageous step. You don't have to see the whole road ahead of you. You just have to decide you deserve more, that you are worth more. And once you take that first step, the path will begin to unfold in front of you. And if you or someone you know is in a situation like Annie's, please know that you should not have to do this alone. Leaving an abusive relationship is complicated, emotional, and, as I said, sometimes dangerous. And no one should have to navigate this by themselves. I encourage you to seek guidance from a trusted friend, a therapist, a domestic abuse advocate, or in some cases, legal counsel. There are professionals and organizations who can help you create a safe plan. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It's the strongest thing you can do. If today's episode resonates with you, I want you to know something deep in your soul. You are not alone, and you never will be, because for every Annie who has endured the storm, there's another Annie searching for hope, for validation, for proof that she's not crazy, not broken, and not beyond saving. I believe that when one Annie speaks her truth, another Annie hears it and can begin to heal. That is the power of sharing a story. It shatters the silence. It strips away the shame and replaces isolation with understanding. So if you've been waiting for permission to tell your story, let this be it. Your voice matters. Your survival matters because you matter. If what I've said sparks something in you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button for more conversations on healing, resilience, and breaking free from toxic relationships. Let's keep this conversation going. Until next time, take care of yourself and remember that you are stronger than you think. I want you to be tenacious and never give up on what's important to you. Thank you so much for listening.